Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Bill, here with Scott. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, doing pretty good, man. I'm already on vacation.
What do you mean? Didn't you say that somebody was criticizing me for having too many vacations?
Yeah,
And now you're on one every weekend.
you jet set a lot more than I do. But I'm going to Maine and Massachusetts a little bit. So, getting away.
Maine's a good place to go.
All I want to do is eat lobster and maybe see some whales and get out of town.
You doing the whale sightings?
I hope so.
Excursions. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying.
Yeah, a whale watching tour.
Do boats ever get knocked over by those whales? Do they ever go out there and go, we're going to show you a whale, and some whale just decides to pop up and you're right above the whale? That never happens?
I don't think so. I think more often than not what happens is they take you out there and you go on a nice cruise and you never see a whale. And then you come back and they're like, oh, well, you didn't see a whale, so we're going to give you a credit for a free trip next time you come up. And it's like, well, I'm not going back to Maine anytime soon. Oh, sorry, it expired. It's all a fucking gimmick.
Oh, that's awful. Yeah. 1 in 10 people might actually come back to redeem the coupon.
Yeah. Sucker. Yeah, but we're staying at a resort up there. Jen and the kids and I road tripping it on up there, stopping to grab food along the way, grabbing some of that storied Connecticut pizza.
Isn't that Mystic Pizza? Isn't that?
It's one of them.
Are you going there?
No, I was looking at this place called Modern Pizza.
Modern Pizza.
Pizza, yeah.
What's that
It's
about?
ranked like, you know that One Bite pizza ranking list that's out there from Barstool Billiards?
No.
Yeah, there's like this online show, I guess, where he ranks pizza. Modern Pizza is like ranked 27th overall in the country. So there's better ones out there, but this just happens to be on the way up.
Bring me a slice. I want to see what the 27th best pizza tastes like.
I think ranking pizza just seems so subjective. Like there's times where like I'm hungrier than others where anything I eat's going to taste better. You know, there's a day where I'm so fucking hungry and Elio's looks like a good idea, you know?
Yeah. There's a vegan pizza place up in Las Vegas, and Sister Michelle used to always take us to it, and it's like, oh God, vegan pizza, damn it. I ate it. I was like, I love it. And then I said to Amy, I said, it was so good, right? She goes, well, anything's good when you're starving. I was like, yeah, good point. I think we were pretty hungry. No, in all reality, that was actually great pizza.
I'm sure.
You could have vegan pizza. Speaking of Sister Michelle, right into our first fuck-uppery.
Oh, our first fuck-up? Maybe there's more than one.
No, only one that I got.
Okay.
But she let us know Kurt Russell is Kate Hudson's stepdad. Thus, why her name is not Kate Russell.
Well, and that's why I guess Carrie Russell was like, well, that doesn't seem right. Well, she took our invitation to point out our fuck-uppery that we kind of knew we were making.
She says Bill Hudson is Kate's dad.
Okay.
Thus the Kate. Who's Bill Hudson?
Who the fuck is that?
So that was our only fuck-uppery. That's pretty good.
I'll take it. And even as we said it, we knew we were talking out our asses, so sure.
Yeah. I love we do a show. We're C students. I mean, we're going to get a lot of stuff wrong. Well, I got a bunch of news stories today, and I also have a different story for you. One of my little tales of the past Hollywood that is no longer around, and it's about the band Kiss and their first movie.
Oh, my God.
Did you even know they had a movie?
No, I feel like I saw them in a cartoon before, but I didn't know they were ever in like a live-action movie.
You know how Star Wars, when they were hot, made the holiday special, and then George Lucas didn't want to talk about it?
Uh-huh.
This is the Kiss holiday special. That's not actually a holiday special.
Right, I get what you pick. I'm picking up what you're putting down. No good. Okay.
There's a lot of weird shit to tell you about, and we'll talk about it real fast.
Wow. Yeah, I really didn't send over any stories or prepare any surprise games or anything, so dealer's choice, man. You tell us where we're going.
Oh, I love it. This is all me talking to you.
This is all. I'll be here for the comments and wows and
wow, man. Wow.
Well, yeah, right. That's what I do. So that's my role for this week's show. You know, I'm just here to be another pretty face for radio.
Yeah, that's what we both are. Well, now let's jump into this Kiss story. Are you a Kiss fan? I don't think you are.
I'm not. I know a few of their songs. They're okay songs. Like they're the middle of the road songs are not life changing for me. I always thought the need for the kabuki makeup and everything else was to make up for lack of attention you were getting from being a better musician. I know people love them. I know people in Amy's family are huge fans and tattoos and everything else, and I just can't fucking see doing that.
Me neither. Don't worry. Me neither.
Okay.
I'm a Kiss fan. I've liked Kiss since I was a kid. Well, I remember being a little kid and seeing the Kiss logo, and I was probably like 5 or 6. And this is like one of those weird random memories. And there was a chalkboard in my basement. I used to enjoy drawing the Kiss logo.
Okay.
So they were on my radar really, really early. But I'm not the Kiss Army. I'm not that kind of Kiss fan.
Yeah, the Kiss Army. There you go. And like the more I learned about Gene Simmons over the years, and he'd done reality TV when that became a thing. Like, I just think the guy's like a dickhead.
He kind of is.
Very much. The marketing, like the shameless self
promotion.
Yeah, promotion. There you go. Just complete hand job.
Well, this story ties into that a little bit.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure this is where he started to realize there's a lot more money to be made outside of just being a rock band.
Oh, I'm sure.
Did I ever tell you I met those guys, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons?
Well, yeah, you were waiting to get their autograph.
Oh, yeah, I told you.
Fucking John Stamos showed up.
The John Stamos story. I remember standing outside. It was in front of the Paramount, I think, in New York. All right, so you got to remember this is 1978, 79. All right? We're talking about Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park. That's the name of this movie. You can't find it anywhere right now. I found it in some random deep search in Google. I just watched it the other day.
This feels like Laurel and Hardy meet the Mummy.
Yeah, a little bit. But what's so funny is the damn thing can't be found unless you really look in nooks and crannies. They must have pulled it off.
So much like the Star Wars holiday special.
Much like the holiday special, where you're relying on people who found it somewhere to try to upload it onto YouTube, even in fragments. But I couldn't even find it on YouTube. I could find it nowhere but I think it was a Indonesian Facebook page where it was illegally uploaded.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's hard to find.
That's like finding it on torrent.
Yeah, remember those? All right, so the TV movie, this was a TV movie, aired during Halloween week in 1978 and was produced by Hanna-Barbera.
Okay.
All right, what's that all about? First off, Hanna-Barbera was only doing these animated
And this
things.
was live action.
And this was a live action show.
That's weird.
All right, so Hanna-Barbera's involvement appears to have been driven by a combination of factors related to Kiss's popularity and the potential for expanding their brand. So Kiss is now saying, we got to do more. We're just rock and rollers. We're up there with our painted makeup. Everybody loves us. We're scaring all the parents. We need to get bigger.
So this is the exact reason of why we only know Hanna-Barbera as an animation studio.
You got it. At the time, Kiss was at the height of their success with an estimated gross income of over $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of money.
Sure.
Back then.
78, 79, shit.
Now
$1 million was like the ungodly number for kids to think of.
Yeah.
$1 million. Oh, shit.
Yeah. Remember Austin Powers?
1 million.
That's it?
$1 million.
I'll write you a check right now. So this made Kiss an attractive property for a TV production, especially given the band's previous success in other media ventures, such as their Marvel comics. So they actually had a Marvel comic appearance.
Yeah, that might be where... I remember I think I saw him in a cartoon.
Yeah.
This might be like a still... It may have been a comic book, not a cartoon.
Well, do you know... He was in a Marvel comic with a character. Do you know the character? They were basically Kiss and...
Howard the Duck.
How did you know that? How did you know that?
I know stupid shit.
Do you know about the Kiss comic where they took some of their own blood and put it into the red ink?
The ink? Yeah, I heard about that.
Supposedly that's real. There's Kiss blood in the red ink on this one Kiss comic book that's out there. Surprised nobody said, hey, I read the comic book and got a disease or something. In this litigious age, I'm surprised. I guess it would happen now, but I'm surprised nobody tried to pull that bullshit in the past. So Kiss's creative manager, Bill Aucoin, saw an opportunity to elevate the band's success by transforming them into real-life superheroes. All right, so Bill Aucoin is like their buddy, their manager, have been with them for a very long time and helped them really grow as a band. So this is kind of Bill going, we need to get you bigger too, right?
Right, because that's his payday too.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So Bill felt that the albums and the live show were running their course. People aren't that interested in anything for longer than 5 years. So it was time for Kiss to step into a bigger world. This aligned well with Hanna-Barbera's expertise in creating content for younger audiences, as they were known as the kings of Saturday morning cartoons.
Sure.
Okay. This aligns well? Okay.
I mean, that is a stretch, but
Yeah.
if you're trying to reach that audience, I mean, they had the Jetsons, they had the Flintstones, they had it all, right?
Yeah, well, the project offered Hanna-Barbera a chance to combine their family-friendly approach with the rock and roll appeal of Kiss, potentially creating a crossover hit that could attract both young viewers and Kiss fans. By turning the once menacing and dangerous rock band into kid-friendly superheroes, Hanna-Barbera aimed to capitalize on Kiss's popularity while staying true to their own brand of entertainment. The Hanna-Barbera brand of entertainment?
I feel like it's not a good match.
No. So the craziest thing about this, when you're watching the movie and you see things happen, like a car, skids out, it's Hanna-Barbera sound effects.
I'd love if they ran into like Snagglepuss. Be like, exit, stage left.
I'm surprised I didn't hear him say it in this thing.
Yeah.
The background music, instead of using like Kiss music or rock music, it was that corny Hanna-Barbera background Fred Flintstone music. Yeah. Yes. It was silly shit.
It's a living.
Yeah. Dude, it sounded like all that old cartoon shit.
I love it.
Paul Stanley has these like laser beams he shoots out of his eyes, and it sounds like the old ray guns. So, I mean, it was just like, whoa, what am I watching here? You start to hear all these sound effects, and you're like, this is crazy and out of place. But I guess that's the Hanna-Barbera brand that they thought they could bring into the Kiss movie, and
it sounds campy as can be, man.
It's ridiculous.
I'm inclined to believe you and the boys, but this group brings in $200,000 a show.
He's convinced you did it, but the investigation's a stroke. He just wants the guy off his back. He's sweating the possibility that we might pull out. He's just plain sweating.
So the location of this, right, the Phantom of the Park, it's an amusement park. The location was Magic Mountain near L.A.
Oh, yeah. That's the very first Six Flags.
Yeah.
It's not the very first, but it's one of the earlier. It's part of the Six Flags franchise.
Yeah, it's Six Flags now. Back then it was Magic Mountain.
Right.
That place is the place that they went to. That's Wally World.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a big old roller coaster that, they're famous for. That place is famous for. It's the one that John Candy and Chevy Chase rode in.
Sorry, folks. Park's closed. Who's out front should have told you.
Yeah, it's a great movie. So that whole roller coaster is basically the backdrop of most of this movie.
Wow.
All right.
As you're telling this story, I keep having to remind myself that this is live action.
This is live action.
I can't come to terms with that.
So this is the plot. Kiss is coming to play Magic Mountain for a 2-night and 1 matinee event. All right, so there's 3 shows in total.
Very specific.
Very specific. Yep, comes into the plot, believe it or not. So at this point, Kiss is still in their makeup, right? People who aren't really fans of Kiss don't know their voice and their personalities. So, this movie is a lot of people's first real understanding of who Kiss is, right? It said earlier, like, everybody was thinking that Kiss was... Remember, people thought Kiss stood for Knights in Satan's Service. Like, people just started making up...
They thought it was an acronym?
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
And they never went that far. They never said they were Satanists or anything. They just tried their colorful characters, and the demon, I think, scared a lot more people than they ever thought it would.
That was Gene's character, yeah.
So in this, all right, he barely talks. They take one of those like lion sound effects from Hanna-Barbera, and anytime he goes to like growl at somebody, they play that lion sound.
Gene's clean.
A pussycat. Almost. Hi, Curly.
Oh my God.
That's how bad this is. All right, so per the movie, this is many people's first, indoctrination to Kiss. They are powerful beings. They have magic powers. They're superheroes because of magic talisman that each member has. All right, there's a box that they secretly carry around that gives each one of the members special powers.
Sure.
Yeah. So Paul's special power is shooting dotted laser beams out of his eyes. Okay? Because his name is Star Child, right? So he's got the star.
Right.
All right. And I don't know, somehow he's got like magic powers. He can read people's minds a little bit. It's one of those movies where it's like, we need a power. Okay, give it to Paul. We need somebody who can do this. All right, give that to Ace. Like, they're just making this shit up as they go. You can tell.
Does Peter Criss become a cat?
Well, he's already a cat.
Well, it's true. That's true.
No, I don't even know what his power is. Like, to be honest with you, Ace Ace Frehley like can teleport. I told you Gene Simmons could breathe fire. He could fly. He's super strong. Peter Criss just kind of walks around like he doesn't do much.
And on drums, Peter Criss. Meow.
All right, so these magic people are coming to do a concert. However, there's a dude who works at the park, okay? This is our bad guy.
I would have got away with it with a few meddling kids.
You got it. And this guy is just like that guy. So this guy's responsible for like all the great technology in the park, and you kind of get into the movie and you're like, I don't really see this great technology. It's a fucking roller coaster, and I think he makes some animatronics here and there.
Okay.
Nothing is so great. They never really make it clear why he's so amazing to the park. But he starts getting upset. He starts getting upset because Kiss is getting all the attention, and the kids who are there at the park, aren't paying attention to his life's work.
Well, there's motive for you
There's
right there.
the motive. That's the motive. That's the damn motive. So this dude at some point just snaps, and it's like an overnight snap. Because at the beginning you like him. He's like, oh my God, I put my heart and soul into this. You know, all I really want, he's talking to the owner of the park. He's like, all I really want is a little bit more budget. And the guy's like, sorry, it's not going to work out for you.
We just paid $10 million to Kiss.
Yeah, it's like times are changing. This is what the kids want. So that kind of got them all pissed off.
Okay.
All right. So he goes back into his lair, which is now an underground lair at the park, because he's the tech guy. He's created this whole thing with like an elevator that takes you up and down. And you find out this guy's got a bunch of robots. Like,
so he has a robot army.
He's got a robot
so Kiss
army.
Can kill robots without actually killing people.
God, you're getting ahead of me.
Okay, I'm
Damn,
sorry.
you're good. It's almost like this is predictable.
It's almost like stormtroopers.
Yeah, it is. And also we find out that this guy has just invented a way of putting like a chip on somebody's shoulder and turning them into a robot as well.
Literally a chip on your shoulder.
Oh, yeah, literally.
Oh, my God.
I don't think they were that clever to think of that.
That wasn't intentional?
No, that was you.
Oh, okay.
Make sure that makes the remake, but
now
never
I'm
writing.
corny.
All right. So there's a girl that's running around. She's got a boyfriend. I can't remember either one of their names, but the boyfriend
Does it really matter?
No, it doesn't. you don't even need to know Gene, Paul, Ace, and Peter. So the boyfriend turns out to be an employee of the bad guy, right? You got to remember the bad guy wasn't. Bad guy's kind of like Dr. Octavius. Like he was a good guy, and then all of a sudden he turns evil.
Sure.
In Spider-Man 2.
Right.
So in the beginning, you're kind of like, oh, this guy's kind of cool. Sure. You know? So he had an employee, and the girlfriend of that employee came looking for him. They were going to go watch the Kiss show. But he had already turned this kid into a mindless slave.
Yeah.
All right. So Kiss does their first show, and they get off stage, and she's running around going, John, whatever the guy's name is. And Paul Stanley with his, powers.
Mind reading powers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something is amiss. Like, he's like all, Nostradamus. She's looking for somebody. And they're like, yeah, Paul, who's she looking for? Something's wrong here.
Can I take a guess?
Yeah.
They're going to save this mindless slave through the power of rock and roll.
Oh, no.
God damn.
Through the power of fisticuffs.
Oh, they just beat ass?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
keep jumping ahead on me.
I'm sorry.
All right. So this guy now is in full evil mode. Apparently he's got cameras all over the park. We're just finding out. He's watching what's going on. He's figuring out that Kiss is figuring out his plan. Right.
So I'm picturing like the Joker having like an amusement park as like his place of evil.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. That's exactly it.
Traps and robots and
yeah. So they're like, the bad guy goes, all right, these Kiss motherfuckers, I can't stand them. He goes, why don't I send my robot slave to go out and take photos of them? So he runs out and grabs a couple photos of all four of the guys, takes them back to the bad scientist. Bad scientist now makes 4 robots that look like Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And he's like, just to cause a little bit of chaos, I'm going to send the big one, Gene Simmons, out, in the evening to just kind of walk around and make some fucking trouble. So he goes out and all the security guards are like, who are you? Whoa, you're scared of Gene Simmons. The robot picks up a cop and throws him, that kind of thing.
And they're not obviously robots. He's like framing them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what's going on now. Okay. You're caught up completely.
Okay.
All right. So now people are the employees are starting to go, Kiss is bad, right? But all the fans are coming in. They're like, what do we do? We can't figure it out. So Kiss goes, we got to clear our name. Now there's, the reason why they're so involved.
Okay.
Oh, keep going. They fight, these monkey robots at one point who are climbing that roller coaster. I told you the roller coaster is the backdrop for almost everything. I mean, they're having, I can't even tell you, the special effects are so bad that they're like having fights.
Again, in my head, this is all animated. I can't get through my head. This is live action. How do they have live action robot monkeys?
Just a guy in a suit.
Oh, okay. That's how. Yeah. Oh, great. Okay.
All right. So now we're going to get to the crazy details behind the scenes. This is the part that I love so damn much. All right. So the band, in reality, at this point in like 1978, 79, is starting to get really tired of each other. We don't know that as fans, but Paul and Gene are getting real sick of Ace and Peter because they're always drunk. They're always on some kind of drug. They're completely unreliable. Like, it got to the point where Ace wasn't even coming. Maybe he wasn't at this point, but it happened thereafter. Ace wasn't even coming to recording sessions.
You mentioned last week when we were talking about Motley Crue and how there was certain albums where Kiss, Ace wouldn't show up.
Yeah.
This is that time period.
Yeah, this is that time period. So Gene doesn't drink. He's never done any drinks or any drugs, he says. Paul probably is very, measured and controlled. And then there's these other two morons who are just constantly making trouble. So they all agree, let's do this movie. So Paul and Gene go, yeah, we're in. The other two get in there. They become assholes. They're not happy with the script. They're not happy with anything. At one point, they go to Ace Frehley. And I don't know if you've ever seen Ace Frehley. He's not a bright guy.
Oh, I didn't know that about him.
Nobody ever told you Ace was stupid?
No, I never heard about this.
He's pretty dumb, right? You know that guy that you hang out with who's laughing so hard at his own jokes and he can't read the room and he just can't tell that everyone finds him annoying? That's Ace Frehley.
Oh.
Okay?
She's obnoxious.
He's obnoxious.
And too dumb to realize it.
Absolutely. You got it. You know the guy.
I know people like this, yeah.
We both have the same friends, yeah. So at one point, they're trying to be like, all right, Ace, we're making this movie. We're writing it. We don't know much about you. Tell us a little about you so we can work into the story. And he just starts going, ack. And they're like, ack? They're like, the only thing this guy says is ack? Because the writers don't know Kiss any more than half the fans,
Sure.
They don't know their personality. So when he's saying ack, they're like, I guess this guy says ack. So they wrote ack into the script. So every time Ace had a speaking part, it was ack. And then Ace starts to go, whoa, I don't like this. So there's a couple lines where he just out of the blue says, ack. And it's like, why is he doing that? And then later on in the movie, he starts talking because he was like, no, I don't want to just be saying ack. And they're like, we thought you always said ack.
How the fuck would we know?
That's the kind of guy we're dealing with here.
Oh, my God.
Peter Criss, he had a car accident. He was like, they're like, everybody just do the job, stay here, don't fuck around. He goes and has a car accident, so there's drama there. It's just, there's production drama like crazy with these two. For some reason, too, they dubbed in a new voice for for Peter Criss. I don't know why.
Meow.
This is where they should have got that snaggletooth guy.
Yeah.
So they get this guy named Michael Bell who...
Heavens to Murgatroyd.
They get this guy Michael Bell who only did like Smurf voices in the past.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But they had him just doing a regular voice. So Peter Criss in real life is like from Brooklyn or something. He's got that really... I'm not even going to try to do a Brooklyn accent, but it's really thick. So this guy is doing a less thick Peter Criss impression. It's so weird. And it said here that this thing I was reading where I got some details. It said that Peter Criss's voice was never used in the film. I'm not so sure that's true. There's times where I think I heard his voice, but there's a point where he sings Beth. That's definitely his voice.
Okay.
So this article where I got some information says he didn't have any lines in the film except when he sings Beth. These are the kind of guys that are like, if I don't get my way, I'm going to walk.
Sure.
And
everything's a fucking ultimatum.
Yep. That's exactly the way that Ace and Peter usually are.
That's exhausting.
So imagine you're trying to make a movie and you got these two assholes always trying to ruin the damn thing.
Oh, man.
This is one of those movies where it's like if you don't even have to look hard. You can see remember the zippers on the monsters' suits? It's that kind of thing. There is, and we were talking about Ace didn't always show up to recording sessions.
Yeah.
There's times he didn't show up to this movie. So Ace actually had a stuntman, okay, who was wearing his face paint.
Sure.
Okay. So there's scenes where Ace didn't show up and they're like, we need Ace in the scene. Use his stunt double. So boom, hanging with the band is this totally other guy.
Wow.
And sometimes he's the stuntman and sometimes he's Ace.
So how does the 2-night, 1 matinee work into the plot? You getting there?
Yeah, I'm going to move it along a little bit. I mean, it's basically reasons to just get cutscenes of Kiss playing live.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they didn't redeem this kid with the power of rock and roll made me think that they were trying to distance themselves as a rock band. Like, yeah, they have performances, but they were trying to break out of the mold of just being a rock band. They wanted to be like serious actors, I guess.
Well, this didn't help them.
No, it did not. No.
Eventually, Gene Simmons did start paying more attention to his acting career than the band. I know that was a problem with Paul Stanley. He's like, we had a couple of years there where Gene was just gone making movies. Because he did have a couple movies.
Really?
Yeah, he was in Runaway with Tom Selleck.
I don't recall.
And then he was in a couple other things. It didn't really work for him. He's like, everybody loved me in Runaway. Nobody hired you again. All right, so the movie only aired once on NBC in the U.S., but was released internationally in theaters under different titles. The band watched an early screening with people in their orbit, right? Their managers, their lawyers, they're all those people. They were humiliated.
Like, burn it.
Yeah, they were humiliated when they saw how bad they looked in this movie. But everybody in the viewing was like, this is fantastic. You guys are great.
A bunch of yes men.
You couldn't have done anything better. This is Oscar worthy. Like, imagine the smoke these guys are blowing. Meanwhile, Kiss is like, no, don't you say that shit. It was horrible.
Wow.
And it hasn't even aired yet. So they must have had like days going, oh, God, this is going to ruin us. This is going to ruin us. So the thing finally airs. Everyone gets excited. They can't wait to see it. They watch it. They're ashamed of Kiss. Like, they're like, these are our heroes. Looking like complete buffoons.
Oh, man.
It's considered by some, including Gene Simmons, to be one of the worst movies ever made, often compared to Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Some Ed Wood action.
It was something Kiss immediately tried to distance themselves from. You know, so people would be like,
sure.
Tell me about the movie. Like, what movie?
Yeah.
It was one of those jobs.
Sorry?
Despite initial negative reception, it has gained a cult following, so it's actually starting to get popular again. Maybe so much so that it inspired a Scooby-Doo movie.
Maybe that's the thing I saw.
Maybe that's the cartoon you saw. So Scooby-Doo and Kiss Rock and Roll Mystery was released as an animated film in 2015. This movie is described as a spiritual successor to Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, following a similar theme of combining Kiss with a mystery adventure. In this animated film, the Mystery Inc. gang travels to Kiss World Amusement Park to watch Kiss performing at their big Halloween concert. The plot revolves around the team joining forces with Kiss members, being referred to only by their stage personas, the Demon, Star Child, Catman, and Spaceman, which actually is, the way they did it in this other movie, to solve the mystery of the Crimson Witch, which is terrorizing the park, much like the Phantom did in the original 1978 movie. The animated adventure includes 7 songs from Kiss, including a new single called Don't Touch My Ascot.
Oh, my God.
Kiss wrote a song called Don't Touch My Ascot, which was written specifically for the movie.
For Fred.
Yeah. Unlike the original 1978 film, the Scooby-Doo crossover was actually well received. All right, well, that's the end of it. So this movie is absolute garbage in the best possible way.
But it feels very on brand for Kiss. It's just very gimmicky. I said before, like the whole kabuki makeup and everything. Like, there are bands that are more show than music, right? Like, I think of 3 right off. So there's Kiss. I think of Gwar. And now there's one out there, like that band Ghost. Like, they all dress up. Fuck, the bassist from Limp Bizkit remember he had all the face paint and the blacked out contacts and stuff? There's performers Buckethead that filled in for Slash for Guns N' Roses. And even Slash for that matter. Slipknot.
That's another one.
Of these bands, Kiss ranks low for me.
Really?
Yeah.
See, to me, they all followed Kiss's example.
But here's something else. So now I'm thinking of like somebody who had just as stunning of a stage show, but was that much better of a performer. Like, early Alice Cooper was fucking incredible, and I think musically he's just that much more talented. I think Kiss was a poor man's Alice Cooper.
I would agree with that. I'm a huge Alice Cooper fan. Don't get me started on this. I think that guy deserves way more credit than he gets, but people forget how big he was in his day. But
you fucking guillotines and people had their heads chopped
He's
off,
still doing
and there's fucking blood. It was crazy. Giant, people go to Home Depot now and buy 12-foot skeletons. He had like 35-foot skeletons on either side of his stage that were fully on animatronic.
Well, I totally think you're right, though, that they look back and they don't take it seriously because of, the shtick.
Yeah.
Well, Kiss eventually did drop the makeup Like
Yeah,
they were
but
like,
the first album without the makeup was dog shit.
I was right in time for hair metal.
Yeah,
So
it
they were
was.
able to catch that hair metal wave and have a revival.
Yeah, their music just didn't have this. Like I said, I can think of like 5 songs that they did, but like, are they great songs? I don't know. I don't think so.
No, they're not. Nothing about this band is great.
No.
But the riffs are so fun to play if you're a guitar player.
Well, okay, maybe there's that. Rock and roll. Here's the other thing. Like, the juxtaposition of the way they looked and dressed versus like the poppy music that they played. Like, it wasn't cutting edge hardcore anything.
No, not at all. And that's why I was always wondering why parents were afraid of them. Their music wasn't like death metal. It was poppy rock for the most part.
Rock and roll all night and party every day.
Right.
Like, come on.
Yeah. None of their songs, they had some songs about sex, but none of their songs were evil sounding songs, really. At the end of the day, I mean, maybe there's a couple that were like, ooh, that's a little darker than the others. But when I say darker, it's still silly dark. It's gimmicky.
And wasn't there a sex song like Love Rocket?
Rocket Ride?
Rocket Ride, that's it.
But they had a lot of songs like that. A lot of songs like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I could just never take them seriously.
I think that's what you gotta accept, that you won't take them seriously, that you like them despite how bad they are. And then when you get to learn more about the drama that went, behind the scenes, like I've studied, you just take on a whole new appreciation for it, because it is just a chaotic rock band that who knows? It's a miracle that they survived as long as they have.
And I think that's why I think Gene Simmons is even more of a dickhead, because I can't take him seriously. That motherfucker takes himself too seriously.
Very much. Yeah.
And it just, you aren't that good, dude. You're not as good as you think you are at anything you've done.
Some of these guys who get into Hollywood, get into show business, just have inflated egos. And you're just like, why do you think you're so good?
Yeah.
Did you totally jump in topics? I read right before we got on the air here that George Clooney has gone to Biden.
He's going to Biden and tell him to drop out.
Like, you're George Clooney. Who do you think you are? You're just a guy.
You're doing Nespresso commercials, dickhead.
Can you imagine what that was like? Hey, yeah, would you let Biden know I'm on the phone?
Yeah.
Who's this? George Clooney. Put me right through. George, yes, right through, sir. And then he gets on. Hey, Joe, yeah, I think you ought to. Like, who are you? You're just a guy.
Yeah. George, somebody should have talked to you before you did Ocean's 12 and Ocean's 13. You should have stopped at Ocean's 11.
What kind of ego must you have to?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you get inflated egos working in show business.
Well, he's a big-time political fundraiser.
Yeah, I guess he is a top fundraiser.
So I guess that's why he thinks he has the credential to do so.
Norman Peltz was a big
investor in Disney.
So he thought he had the voice. It's government. It's not a business. Oh,
yeah.
All right. That wasn't one of our news stories.
So of some of these schlocky, gimmicky bands I mentioned, or maybe some others I'm not even thinking of right now, like where does Kiss rank for you?
Of the schlocky bands?
Of the schlocky bands, yeah.
Alice Cooper, number 1, Kiss, number 2.
Really?
Yeah.
That high up?
The rest don't even chart for me. Marilyn Manson, I didn't care. Rob Zombie, I don't care.
Yeah, I think that's the age difference. Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson, they were like big when I was in high school.
We talk about those couple of years that we have apart.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Marilyn Manson walking the streets at Penn State.
Yeah.
They were walking into a McDonald's ordering, and they were in like full garb.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my point is, even of the gimmicky bands for me, Kiss is even middle of the pack with them.
Talking about like egos of people and making fun of Ace Frehley. He thinks he's the God's gift to guitar players. He thinks Eddie Van Halen was inspired by him. He said these things, and it's like, dude, you are so far away from most average guitar players.
Well, that was another question I was going to have. You said as a guitar player, it's fun to play their riffs and their licks. Is it because they're kind of rudimentary and it's a quick thing to pick up when you're first learning? So it's like, oh, hey, this is cool.
Everybody's first song is Smoke on the Water. It could be any Kiss song. They are just fun to play. And if you like riffy music, riffy hard rock, riffy classic rock, they're just great.
I feel like Smoke on the Water may have been replaced by Seven Nation Army.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get to the news.
Let's get to the news. We're way off track.
I'm telling you, once Kiss gets in your head, it's hard to get them out of your head. All right, a bunch of stories here, fresh from the press. Oh, this one you sent over. For 30 years now, Nirvana has reaped enormous profits from Mr. Fisher's work. Do you know what this story's all about?
I do. Speaking of bands that try to cash in, so let me ask you this. Did you read this article at all?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you think of Nirvana, the neoclassic rock band Nirvana, what image do you think of?
The baby in the pool, swimming for the dollar.
Pool, or the In Utero album with like the anatomy doll?
Right.
Yeah. Well, this article is about what Dave Grohl had on his the head of his bass drum, and they sold a lot of T-shirts with the smiley face with the eyes X'd out.
Mm-hmm.
For years, it was talked about that this is a design that Kurt Cobain created. Marc Jacobs, the fashion designer, years after Kurt Cobain passed away, came out with the identical shirt, basically. Only he got rid of the X's and put an MJ for Marc Jacobs. And underneath where it said Nirvana on the shirts, he made it say New Grunge or something like that. So Nirvana sued Marc Jacobs, the fashion designer. Now this Mr. Fisher comes out of fucking nowhere, out of left field, and he's claiming that as an art director for Geffen Records, he created this. Kurt Cobain never created this art design, and now he wants his payday.
Was it Geffen?
Yeah, I think. You can read the article.
Actually, I don't have that in front of me.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Now, initial findings right now, initial rulings are that the judge says if you did create this as an art person for Geffen, it was fee for service. It was, you were paid for that. They retain all the rights to it. This isn't yours. It's kind of heading in that direction. So Mr. Fisher may not have a leg to stand on, but I think Marc Jacobs might be paying Nirvana money.
Well, the funniest thing to me is that smiley face. Like, that's where you were going with this. What's the iconic imagery for Nirvana? It's not
that.
this.
It's not that. In fact, the article goes on to say that right now that image is getting a resurgence because of like 90s nostalgia. Millennial kids right now are buying T-shirts like that at the mall.
That's
or
what I was going to say.
Online, or it's not what I think of when I think of Nirvana.
I'm seeing it around more often now than I remember seeing it before. And this news story is like popping up in my feed all over. So it's a decently sized news story about this
and you know
picture,
what? For
this
me,
drawing.
Thinking of like iconography of Nirvana, I'd have to say that the cover of the MTV Unplugged album is more meaningful to me as an image in my head than this smiley face.
Everybody's got to get paid.
Yeah.
People feel ripped off all the time and they go after their IP. They believe it's their IP.
Is there anything in the story? And really, who's copywriting a smiley face?
I read this thing twice and I'm like, I just don't get it.
I don't either. Did I forget any important parts out of it?
I mean, that sounds right.
Okay.
I just got the summary in front of me, but I think you got it. Just made me laugh. Like Nirvana, the doodle on his bass drum.
Yeah.
Caused this much trouble. I like this one here. Brother Steve said this. I think it was Steve. I get so much stuff from Steve and Michelle. I mix them up. Sorry, guys. So the London Symphony Orchestra.
Oh, Cypress Hill?
With Cypress Hill. I knew you would know about this.
Fulfilling another Simpsons prophecy of 20 plus years ago?
Come on, people. Somebody order the London Symphony Orchestra. Possibly while high. Cypress Hill, I'm looking in your direction.
Oh, my God. And then all of a sudden, here we got this band that nobody really thinks about anymore, hired the London Symphony Orchestra, which I know wasn't cheap, to just do a performance to be able to say, hey, we made that Simpsons joke come to life.
I grew up a huge Cypress Hill fan. Like long before Temple of Boom, even before Black Sunday, like I was a huge Cypress Hill fan. When Zen Dog went away, I was like, oh, they jumped the shark.
I don't even know who they are.
Yeah, well.
Told you I was on a bus with them once, right?
No.
Yeah, I was on a bus going to a stadium show. They sat in the front, I sat in the back, and I was just like terrified because we weren't supposed to be on the bus.
Oh.
Yeah, so we snuck on.
Yeah, me and my buddy Seth, we listened to Cypress Hill long before we should have been listening to Cypress Hill by parental advisory suggestions.
Yeah. I remember like thinking, oh my God, they're going to smoke weed on the bus. This is going to be amazing. We're going to smell it. They didn't smoke any weed. They were drinking coffee. I was a kid. Here's one from IGN. Kevin Feige had to explain pegging to MCU execs thanks to Deadpool and Wolverine.
That shows you where Deadpool Wolverine's going.
So he says, I know what pegging is. It's in the first Deadpool movie. But there were people I work with who didn't know what it was. I had to explain it to them. That must have been a fun day at work.
Yeah, welcome to Disney, Deadpool.
It says comic book fans everywhere have been curious to see just how far Marvel and Disney would let the third live-action Deadpool movie go. Another trailer gag sees Deadpool teasing that Feige said cocaine was off limits, but the superhero head says he wasn't quite so strict. He says, we were open to anything. Maybe I'm slightly prudish when it comes to drug use, but I was like, it's not that funny. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited for this movie. I'm really excited. I don't want to be let down by it, but the commercials are making it look really, really good.
They are. I was going to ask if you were watching, if you were still trying to avoid them and going in completely clean.
I just saw the one the other day that it snuck up on me, a Bachelor. Yeah.
I watched it.
I was like, oh, where'd this come
I
from?
just zoom in on his ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did see the other one, and I won't say it in case others haven't seen it, where there's a cameo reveal.
Oh, I don't know if I saw that one.
Okay.
See, the problem with YouTube and movie trailers is that I don't know which ones are legit. The one with the Bachelorette, that trailer, or that advertisement, I guess you can call it, that was actually put out by Ryan Reynolds on his official YouTube channel. Some of the other ones, it's just like, is this just CGI bullshit where they're pulling stuff from other movies? Like, I don't know I've been burned too many times to trust what I see on YouTube trailer-wise.
Yeah, and I want to believe that Disney is doing what they're saying. They're like, we're going to slow down. We're going to make good quality MCU stuff. And then I just saw a trailer for Agatha all along. And I'm like, this looks like the same bullshit.
Yeah, but they teased that. It had to be 3 years ago now, right?
Could be.
I mean, that was like one of the very first Marvel
The
Disney
first.
Plus. Yeah.
I didn't care. I saw the trailer. I won't watch this.
Eh.
I don't care about witches. I like people who shoot webs from their wrists and people that turn green and smash shit. Witches and Dracula.
You don't like the mystic part of Marvel, yeah.
I liked Blade, but I don't like Blade in the MCU. I don't like vampires in the MCU. I don't like mummies in the MCU, Frankenstein in the MCU. I don't like gods. I don't like that there's Zeus in the MCU.
But
some of that
Thor.
shit's lame. Damn it. I'd like Thor.
I know you do.
But it doesn't make sense. I shouldn't like Thor.
Well, I'm spending some time in Salem this coming week, so maybe I'll come home with a different feeling about witches.
Really? I love Salem. Have you ever been there?
No. I've never been up to New England.
You're going to have a good time.
I have a good time no matter where I'm at.
Yeah. I need to hang out with you more. When I got to do chores, I'll bring you along.
Yeah. Fun's what you make it.
Chores, errands. Help me do chores. Help me.
Raking leaves.
I don't want to do this. Get Scott. He'll make it fun. Well, we got 2 deaths to talk about.
Yes. This caught me off guard.
Well, the first one is Martin Mull. I meant to bring it up last week, but I forgot. What do you know about him? I remember him being around a lot as a kid. He was a comedian. He was on different shows.
I don't. I know him from Clue.
Clue was probably the thing most people know him from. I remember he was on Roseanne, and I remember thinking, wow, he must be at the end of his career if he's doing a TV show.
He gave her money to open up her luncheonette, right?
Right.
I remember that.
Yeah, but he was right before I was really conscious, like probably when I was like 6 or 7 or 8, he was probably tearing it up out there.
Hey, you were saying he was like everywhere.
Yeah.
I think we looked at his IMDb. He like played himself a lot, so he was like a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, he was known for just being himself more than just being an actor.
And the Smothers Brothers was a big spot for him.
I don't remember that. Is that
the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour? I remember they had like a lot of, in his death announcement, they would show clips of different things he did, and it always seemed like he was doing stand-up with the Smothers Brothers.
Yeah, he was one of those guys that you could have told me been dead forever.
Yeah, that's kind of why it surprised me. I was like, well, I didn't know he was still around.
You know what? It's not on the list, but I was just going to say it's kind of like that guy Dabney Coleman. You don't think about him very often, and he could be dead. And then I went, wait a minute. He could be dead. He is dead. I just heard that a couple weeks ago. So Dabney Coleman died. That's another guy like Martin Mull who was everywhere in the first half of the 80s.
Who is he?
He was in Cloak and Dagger. He was in a ton of movies. Let's go to IMDb real fast and tell me how many of these movies that you know.
Well, I recognize his face. He died May 16th, 2024, at the young old age of 92.
Damn.
I'm going to move past all of his television things from the 70s. I'm going to move up to where he gets into some movies here.
All right.
First thing I recognize here movie-wise, 9 to 5.
Yep. That's right. Forgot.
Yep. On Golden Pond's one of those movies I'd never seen, but I certainly know the title.
Right. Everybody in that era who was
Yeah.
above 18 saw it.
Tootsie. War Games.
That's the one I was waiting for you to go.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Well, I clicked on the thing here and it showed Matthew Broderick, and I was like, wait a minute, that's Matthew Broderick from War Games. Cloak and Dagger, you just mentioned. The Muppets Take Manhattan. Classic Tom Hanks, The Man with One Red Shoe. Some other stuff I don't know. Dragnet, the 1987 movie.
Yeah, he was a big deal, and we forgot him. We totally forgot him, and when he died, nobody really talked about it.
The Slap Maxwell Story. The fuck is that? Oh, it's a series. Going back to television.
Yeah.
He was in the long-forgotten 1988 movie Hot to Trot.
Oh, I remember Hot to Trot.
What do you remember about Hot to Trot?
There was a horse.
There was a horse?
That's about it.
Who jockeyed the horse?
Dabney Coleman.
Bobcat Goldthwait.
Oh, right. The talking horse.
The talking horse.
Oh, God. You know, it's funny. Amy and I rented that not too long ago, and we got about 2 minutes in, and we're like, this isn't funny.
Let me see if there was anything bigger for me. He was in. He played Mr. Drysdale in the Beverly Hills Hollywood movie remake.
Beverly Hills Hollywood.
When they made the Beverly Hillbillies movie,
Yeah.
he played Mr. Drysdale.
Oh, okay.
So 1993's Beverly Hillbillies.
He's a way bigger star than Martin Mull.
He really is.
There should be some awareness about the death of Dabney Coleman. And I love the name Dabney.
Yeah. Let's just say it was easy to look up on IMDb.
All right, well, we got another one. A third one has died. And this is the one that I told you about today.
Yes.
Shelley Duvall. Who's Shelley Duvall?
Shelley Duvall, I know her from, well, Olive Oil and Popeye, but more importantly, I know her from The Shining.
Yeah, The Shining. I loved her in The Shining. And I never understood why she never had a bigger career.
And we talked about her not long ago, and she seemed to be not doing well mentally.
Right. Well, I don't know about mentally, but physically she looked rough.
Yeah, but she also seemed like she was interviewed on one of those YouTube shows we were talking about. If you wouldn't have told me it was Shelley Duvall, I never would have picked her out of a lineup. But she was also she was living in her car.
Yeah, it looked that way.
Looked like she was hoarding everything she owned was in the car. It was not a great existence, it didn't seem. But she presented very happy.
She did. She sure did. But she also presented to me a little like, how did you find me?
Very scattered.
Yeah. You can go to YouTube, search for Shelley Duvall car interview, and you can find what we're talking about.
Yeah. The other thing about it was she always talked about how rough Stanley Kubrick was as a director for her on broke her down, demeaned her, really put her in some scary places during the filming of The Shining to kind of get that out of her.
It's not the kind of thing they do anymore.
Well, that's questionable.
No.
It's just the kind of thing that they...
Well, now we have intimacy coordinators.
Now there's intimacy coordinators, and now there's internet, and you're going to hear about it.
Yeah.
You didn't hear about it back then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a sad ending.
Yeah.
So when I heard it today, I was kind of sad. I was like, oh.
I saw it pop up, and I was like, I don't want to hit play on this video.
You know she was broke. She probably didn't have money to take care of herself. It sucks.
But if that was her experience in Hollywood, much like what we were talking about here with Quiet on the Set and the kids that were doing that, who would want to go back to the industry?
Right. Well,
there's trauma there, man.
Sometimes I think about this too. It's like these musicians and actors when, Andy Dick's a good example.
Yeah.
Right. You see Andy Dick when Andy Dick was popular. You're like, this guy's the greatest. He's unstoppable. He's smart enough to get into Hollywood. No, he's just a little bit funny, and it's the only thing he can do. And I don't know if you hear the stories about where he's living, what he's doing, the trouble he's getting into. He's not a super talented or super special human. He's just a human who got famous and now has no other skills.
Yeah. I think of Tom Green. Not because he's getting in trouble, but the same kind of thing. He had that hit. It was funny for a little bit, and then it just went away. Because it wasn't really anything groundbreaking.
Yeah. And I hate to say this because I love going to these cons, but every time I go to these horror cons or sci-fi cons and you see like Ralph Macchio, like I just feel sad, you know? He might have had a comeback with Cobra Kai, but most don't.
No. I think that's what Andrew McCarthy's trying to do with his Brad's documentary.
I watched some of that finally.
Did you?
Yeah.
What do you think?
It was exactly what you told me. Andrew McCarthy confronting the guy who wrote the article.
Yeah.
That was fascinating. And talking to all the other people that were part of the... I don't know that it was enough of a Hulu show for me. I watched a summary of things, like clips and things like that.
Okay.
But I don't know that I needed more than about 10 minutes of watching
You
clips
got the
from
gist
it.
of it.
I got the gist of it.
That's all you needed.
And I think they're all starving actors. I mean, they got Rob Lowe. I'm sure he's doing well, but... And Demi Moore, like both of them were like, yeah, we didn't mind. But they're doing okay. Rest of them are.
One thing you wouldn't have seen from the clips of it, Rob Lowe kind of jerked him around. Like he was like, I'm out here in LA to meet Rob Lowe, and now all of a sudden he's in Orlando. And then like 2 days later, he was back in LA, so he drove back over to Rob Lowe's place, and like he was kind of giving him the runaround. But I think Rob Lowe's just like in demand. Andrew McCarthy's like, well, he stood me up. I don't know, this guy's all over the place.
That's another thing I think about. Who's running the schedules for celebrities? Like I have a calendar on my phone of all the meetings. Did they have that?
Well, their assistant has that.
So did the assistant fuck up and let him go to Orlando and not call?
Oh, he was in LA, and then you think, oh, you mean like they let Rob Lowe go to Orlando?
Yeah.
I think Rob Lowe's going where the work is, and Andrew McCarthy's like, yeah, it'd be nice to touch base, but if I got work in Orlando, fuck you.
My old podcast, I told you I used to interview a bunch of like D-list celebrities. Probably 25% of them just didn't show up to the call.
Yeah.
And I would write a letter to their manager and I'd never hear back. I was like, well, I guess that's over. So much for that. Yeah, I never understood how some of those celebrities operate their daily lives.
Some of them don't very well. Which brings us back to Shelley Duvall, R.I.P. It was sad to see, man.
All right, moving on. Did you hear about the Skydance acquisition of Paramount?
Skydance is one of the streaming services in England?
No, it's a production company.
Oh, then I guess I don't know about this.
So this is kind of a big deal. All right, so I'll read this one to you. Skydance has gained control of Paramount in a deal worth $8 billion. Paramount is the owner of the Paramount Film and TV studios, right? Those iconic places.
Sure.
Paramount Plus, the streaming service, CBS, and cable channels including Nickelodeon, MTV, and Comedy Central. Paramount has a long list of owned intellectual property, including Star Trek, Mission Impossible, Top Gun, and SpongeBob SquarePants.
Everything they're trying to cram down your throat on Paramount Plus.
So under the agreement, Skydance will invest around $8 billion in Paramount, including paying $2.4 billion for national amusements. So you remember Sumner Redstone?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy that started the whole thing that got Paramount to where it is now. So that's his company.
Okay.
All right. So a new Paramount, in quotes, a new Paramount valued at $28 billion will be formed, with Skydance founder and CEO David Ellison in place as CEO of the new business. Skydance said it plans to enhance and reinvigorate marquee Paramount and CBS brands while improving profitability and investing more in faster-growing digital platforms. Remember, we were just saying, like, these TV channels better figure out how to get better. Some of these shows are just awful.
Like the networks and stuff.
So that's the kind of thing. These guys are like, listen, we're going to buy you because you're kind of out of touch.
I was just watching some of the guys we watch on YouTube, and they were out at Mall of America in Minnesota. You know, they have a theme park inside of there. The entire thing is themed to Paramount.
Really?
It's all Nickelodeon. It's all their properties. Ninja Turtles, which is owned by Nickelodeon, which is owned by Paramount. I think King's Dominion was owned. It was like a Paramount amusement park as well.
Sure. Lots of different deals came up, and they're like, well, Kiss can get into the TV game. I guess we can get into the...
But was it called Skynet?
Should be. Skydance.
So is this Skydance, was this a big company before? Or is this whole thing being formed just to acquire Paramount?
No, it's been around. I just don't know where they got the money.
Yeah, like you would think something that big that could absorb Paramount would have been something you'd heard of before.
Yeah, and here, I'll read a little bit more. It's clear Paramount, the people in charge, wanted to get out. I have a feeling they were like, look, we're not equipped for this new world.
If you'd have told me Apple TV acquired Paramount, I'd be like, sure, it's Apple.
Right. Skydance.
Skydance? The fuck is that?
In its note to press, Skydance highlighted its video game business. Skydance's Marvel game is Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra. Did you see that? It's actually a cool looking game.
No.
It's Captain America back in 1943 fighting game.
That could be cool.
Said it's helmed by Amy Hennig of Uncharted fame. I never played that game. I know people like it. Hennig is also working on a new Star Wars game for Skydance. The deal marks the end of an era for Paramount Global, one of Hollywood's oldest companies. Under the terms of the deal, Paramount's non-executive chair, Sherry Redstone, right, part of the family, part of the tribe, will sell her family's controlling stake in the company. And there's a quote here. Given the changes in the industry, we want to fortify Paramount for the future while ensuring that content remains king.
Trying to get out of it.
This is fascinating to me. Like, we grew up with Paramount. We grew up with all this stuff, and they're just like, time to sell it. I'm
picturing the Paramount Mountain on the opening scenes of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's just getting passed again to another company called Skydance.
Yeah.
Or Skynet.
Or something. Skywalker? What was it?
Yeah. All right, well, we'll see if it gets better. We'll see if they put out better content, because I never go to Paramount Plus. Never.
I've never subscribed to Paramount Plus now.
I subscribe. It's fear of missing out. Like, I'm afraid that they're going to drop something. I'm like, oh, I got to see it. And then I don't have a subscription.
So does this mean we're going to have like 19 more seasons of Tulsa Kings?
Is that what's on?
I think so.
All right, moving us on. I like this story. This one made me laugh. I don't even understand why this exists, but this is from Deadline. Kevin Bacon dons elaborate disguise to experience life as a non-famous person. Concludes, this sucks.
What the fuck?
Kevin Bacon recently experienced life as a non-famous person, donning an elaborate disguise to see what life would be like if he weren't recognized to the public. In an interview with Vanity Fair, the Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. actor said he soon concluded that this sucks. Bacon explained to Vanity Fair, I'm not complaining, but I have a face that's pretty recognizable. Putting my hat and glasses on is only going to work to a certain extent. So Bacon said, I went to special effects makeup artists.
Well, Scavini.
Tom Savini?
Tom Savini, rather, yeah.
Had consultations and asked him to make me a prosthetic disguise. Per Vanity Fair, he was outfitted with fake teeth, a slightly different nose and glasses. When he tested the look at outdoor Los Angeles shopping mall, The Grove, nobody recognized me, he said. People were kind of pushing past me, not being nice. Nobody said, I love you. I had to wait in line to, I don't know, buy a fucking coffee or whatever. I was like, this sucks. I want to go back to being famous, he told Vanity Fair.
This is like when Sally Jess used to put like models in fat suits and send them out to learn that being overweight is not fun. Like, what the fuck? What are we doing here?
Oh, I can't. I don't even know why he did it.
Do we live in a society where it's better to be famous than not?
It must.
Sure, you get perks. You know what this is? This is another fucking example of something dumb that a celebrity did to get publicity to fucking peg him in Axel F and get Beverly Hills Cop 4 talked about.
I just can't believe he was like, yeah, I hate being a regular guy. You guys all suck with this lifestyle. I like my lifestyle of getting free coffee and going right to the front of the line.
Well, Kevin, how would you feel if somebody dressed up like you and then went out and had your stolen valor? You wouldn't think that's great.
Oh, let's do it. Who are you? Kevin Bacon. Well, you got a big gray beard. Well, I'm Kevin Bacon under this big gray beard.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll pull it off. Some people will fall for it.
People are dumb.
People are pretty dumb. I love the story, though. It just made me laugh. Oh, this sucks. Yeah. Welcome. Yeah. Welcome to our world, asshole.
Welcome off the mountain there.
We're not all in the fucking great bubble you're in where the world is all sunshine and roses.
Sorry.
Our world sucks.
Yeah, we're not surrounded by ass kissers and yes men.
That's sometimes how I think it is with these celebrities. Like, they just don't know what real life is like.
Now we know where the ego comes from.
Yeah, now we know. I think about it all the time with, being a Howard Stern fan growing up. When he was a nobody, he was making no money. That's when we were really a fan of his. And now he's so filthy rich and forgets who that guy was.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it just happens.
Just get calloused over. Forget who you are.
So much so that you say to Vanity Fair, so I did this thing where I acted like a regular dickhead and, it sucked.
Hey, I got time on my hands. I went out. I had a fucking prosthetic guy work me up. Oh, this isn't for a movie. This is just me. This is a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's just a Tuesday.
Yeah, I went to see what it was like to be like, a schlub. I went to see what it was like to be you fucking loser.
Yeah.
You suck.
What a life.
Dickhead. I don't like Kevin Bacon. He's a Philly guy,
Yeah, I don't like him anymore.
Yeah, it's a dickhead thing.
Dickhead.
Fucking, this is Gene Simmons worthy dickheadedness.
Dickhead Bacon.
Dickhead.
By the way, did you watch the new Axel F movie?
I did. I got to watch it again because I told you I didn't like it.
Yeah, that's right. You did say that. But you didn't like the original Beverly Hills Cop movies, or you weren't a fan. You don't remember them.
I don't really remember them. I kind of remember their tone, and I could tell that they were going for that tone, but it just... Look, the head of Eddie Murphy right now is disturbing. Like, he used to be... he used to be this cool, slim, young guy, and now he's, like, old. Like
well,
me.
He's going undercover to see what it's like to be a normal guy.
Well, are you talking about Eddie Murphy?
Yeah. Eddie Murphy.
You're talking about Kevin Bacon.
I will say this, of all the 1980s nostalgia grab, cash-in kind of things that we've seen, from Ghostbusters to remakes of other things we've talked about on the show here, this Beverly Hills Cop movie for me nailed it. It was exactly what I would expect and what I wanted from the next installment of Beverly Hills Cop.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was perfect.
He bumps into his estranged daughter. I was
no, he intentionally went out to get to his estranged daughter, but Judge Reinhold's was there. The other guy that's now playing the chief was there. Bronson Pinchot was there.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing seemed like fan service, even though I wasn't...
Well, the soundtrack was like almost like take for take, using the exact same songs as the past movies, but it did it in a good way. It was still a good story. It was like as over the top as any other Beverly Hills Cop story would be.
I've decided I'm going to watch the first Beverly Hills Cop again all the way through because as a kid I watched it in pieces. And then I'm going to watch this.
I think it stands up. It's a hell of a lot better standing up than fucking Indiana Jones 4.
Oh, yeah. Anything is.
Oh, I know that's not setting the bar too fucking high. But I thought this was very well done, if anything, in this vein that's come out so far.
I remember liking Coming to America 2.
I didn't.
You didn't like that?
No.
See, that one I think worked.
I didn't like what they did with the preacher, how he now like works at the crack house. There was like a lot of stuff they did with characters. I'm like, that wasn't necessary.
Maybe I like it better because it's such silliness, and Beverly Hills Cop is a little bit more like story-driven, structured.
The introduction of new characters into this, like Joseph Gordon-Levitt's in there, that was done well.
Where's he been?
I don't know.
He's got one of them faces. It's like, that guy will never look old. And then suddenly...
I haven't seen him since Inception.
He looked kind of old in this movie. Made me feel good. I was happy to see him looking bad.
That's just Schadenfreude. You're just taking pleasure in someone else's pain.
I was looking at him like, yeah, you don't look so young anymore, do you, hotshot?
Look at you, Third Rock.
Man, it's so weird to watch somebody grow up on TV. And then when they play a role like, yeah, you know what, I got to go back and watch this movie. I do remember him in it and being kind of good. I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit high.
I'm not going to lie. I'm not surprised
You're not
to hear
surprised
that.
at all? So let me give it a second look with him.
Hey, if you can get high and enjoy X-Men 97, you can get high and enjoy Beverly Hills Cop 4.
I got high and I couldn't even enjoy that Godzilla vs. Kong.
Well, there's some things drugs just can't do.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, how about this? Marvel heads tease upcoming Marvel Zombies animation. So they've already done a Marvel Zombies thing in the What If series.
I was going to say only in What If, yeah, but now they're actually going to come out with a whole new series, it looks like.
I'm a fan of the comic.
I know.
And it doesn't sound like they're going to do anything like that, like those storylines.
They're going to use the characters, I guess, but who knows how they're going to use them. They might incorporate some of it.
It says here the official Marvel podcast had Marvel TV head honcho Brad Winterbaum on, and he couldn't resist teasing the mature animated series.
Wait a minute, we're not the official Marvel podcast?
No.
Oh, they don't like what we have to say?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
They let Ryan Reynolds say pegging, but they don't like our humor.
We're sometimes not complimentary.
Yeah.
We're not yes men.
We're not yes men, no.
We're real guys. We suck.
I could be a yes man if you pay me well.
That's right. That's exact. I'm not a hanger on, but I could be.
I could be. I'm for sale. So he says, there's a lot of surprises around the bend, and I can't choose a favorite, but I'm very excited for people to see what we've done with Marvel Zombies. So it seems like there's been some real momentum with the show since the last time it was mentioned in D23. The show is still coming, and the comic series is still really beloved amongst fans, so Marvel Studios is still hammering away at it. One big bright spot for Marvel Zombies is going to be Ayman Vellani's Kamala Khan. Did you watch any of Miss Marvel?
No.
Or the Marvels?
I watched Miss Marvel. I didn't watch the Marvels.
Okay, so you know who Kamala Khan is.
Yes.
I didn't like Miss Marvel, but I liked her. She was cute and funny, and when I saw
She's a
her,
good character.
yeah, she was even better in the Marvels, but she's not good enough to save that terrible movie.
Yeah.
So she's the center of this story. She's leading the fight against the undead in the universe. So speaking to the direct, the Miss Marvel star said, Kamala is kind of the center of the show. They described it to me. It's like she's basically the Frodo of the story. And I was like, I should do the voice. And I was like, that's amazing. That's my best
Oh, my
impression.
God.
Frodo. As an added bonus, Villani also mentioned that the recording sessions have basically ended. So now let's just wait until the animation is done.
Okay. Now, in the comic book, wasn't the whole idea behind the zombie heroes that we were in another part of the multiverse?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
And they're trying to get to our dimension because they've eaten everybody in their dimension.
Exactly. That's how I remember it. Yes. Yes. That's kind of what they got into. And just to talk a little bit about the What If, because you mentioned it, I remember there was the biggest thing I remember from the What If series was a zombie Captain America and a zombie Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Did we get much more than that?
I got Spider-Man.
Oh, that's right. Spider-Man was in there too.
I'm trying to remember who the others were. I think
biggest-
Ant-Man was in a jar. Wasn't his head in the jar?
I don't remember that. I remember the biggest one, though, was Scarlet Witch because they used Vision to trap her. And then they got the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, it blends. Now I
Yeah.
can't tell what was the cartoon and what was the
The comic.
different comic
Yeah.
storylines.
All right.
All right, 2 more and then we'll get out of here so you can go on vacation. So this is interesting. I was reading this in guitar.com. Jimi Hendrix, when he died, filthy rich guy, right?
I thought so.
He was broke. He was broke.
Was he living outside his means?
I don't know, but it says here Pete Townsend, he goes on to recall an encounter he had with the late guitar icon Jimi Hendrix during his final 2 weeks of life. He says he saw him in LA. He was happy. He was really nice to me, and he hadn't always been in the past. I said, how you doing? And he said, Pete, I'm broke. He was huge and he was broke, Pete said. Townsend adds that he was never into business for money. So now we're talking about Pete Townsend.
Sure.
Moving off from Hendrix. I lived in a little house in Twickenham by the Thames River.
Thames
I like
River.
the Thames River. I like London. I was happy to be by the water. I had 1 car. I had a tiny little studio. I was really happy. I had a beautiful wife, lovely kids, great friends, and never wanted for anything really, except some time to myself and some time to have with my family. So he's kind of saying, like, we didn't make a ton of money.
Well, yeah, he lived within his means, which is to imply that Jimi Hendrix did not.
That's what I'm thinking. But don't you think, like, where's these guys' filthy rich lives? I mean, they are iconic musicians.
Yeah.
What went wrong?
Money management, man. They're musicians. They're not good with money. Or sometimes good with life. They're good with music.
Yeah, and everybody in show business, from what I hear, it's like as soon as you get in and you're young, there's older predators that are business people that are going to take advantage of you.
Well, it's not just Hollywood or celebrity in that way. Look at these young guys coming out of college signing sports contracts. Like, how many of them are getting in fucking trouble? Going out and buying basically factory-built race cars, driving drunk, all kinds of shit.
It's crazy to me to hear that they go broke.
Yeah.
Like when MC Hammer was bankrupt. I remember hearing that story. I was like, what? The guy had one of the biggest songs in the world. What did you do wrong?
Yeah.
I would hope that I'd have a money manager go, listen, this thing could end tomorrow. Take all this money and let's invest it and live off dividends. But I guess they don't get these
No.
guys to tell them to do that.
No.
They probably get guys to say, hey, put me in your pocket. I'll help you spend your money.
There was a great series on HBO called Ballers with Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Never
where he-
saw it. Yeah.
It's good. He plays a financial advisor, but also like a sports manager. And he tells guys like, yeah, lease cars, don't buy cars. You don't want to have that depreciation on you. Like he coaches them through things as they're coming up into the league. So it's funny the probably the real life things they talk about on that show and where people make missteps in real life.
And if you get kind of brought into this young, you haven't learned things like money management.
No.
And if somebody's not telling you how much money you constantly have, you don't know if somebody's siphoning it away from you.
You know, I knew a guy one time that said that what he'd like to see, because all these, and, you know, not to get on a sports soapbox, we're not a sports podcast here, but all these guys that come up through college, whether it's basketball or football or, you know, to a lesser extent, baseball, they go to college, they get passed through their classes. You know, people joke that like, oh, you're gonna major in basket weaving because all you're going to school for is to play football or to play basketball, and then go there for the 3-year requirement, and then get into the fucking draft, and then sign in to the majors for big money. He said rather than have them take bullshit classes and just get passed through A's, he'd like to see there be like a professional sports major that colleges would offer, where you could go and take money management, take classes in how to give good interviews and PR, and you know, all those kind of things that would help a professional athlete or a professional person that, as we're talking here, they just don't know. A lot of these guys are coming from nothing.
Yeah.
They're there on scholarship. Their payday comes in and they're just fucking making it rain.
That totally makes sense. I've never thought of that. I've always looked at colleges that have these teams and just thought, so fraudulent.
Yeah.
Fraudulent that you're passing these students who aren't truly passing.
Yeah, I mean, looking at basketball, you're bringing these guys in that come from a lot of times nothing, like I said. You're getting them, you're basically using them to get you to the Final Four and get championships and get recruiting power for future teams, not paying them a dime, and then passing them after 3 years when they join, and then it's just like, it's a cycle, it's a mill.
Well, Scott, once again, you make really good points, but I got one more news story. I think last week I talked about Horizon a little bit. Do you remember me mentioning that? Or did that get cut? It's possible it got cut.
That may have gotten cut.
All right. So there's a movie out there called Horizon, and it's a movie made by Kevin Costner. So that guy's still around.
Oh, yes. Yeah, he made 2 of them, part 1 and part 2.
I think he made part 1, but plans on making 3 more. He has a vision for a 4-movie story.
And it's really like the history of the American West?
I don't know, but I know it bombed.
It bombed bad.
It's
like,
over,
this guy
Johnny.
really is taking the success he's had with Yellowstone and just cashing in on it.
He's putting his own money into this.
Yeah.
And he got bad returns, and he was making excuses like, look, we're not the kind of thing that people are going to go to the theater.
This isn't a summer blockbuster.
Yeah, this is a slow burn.
This is a historical piece of American history, and yeah.
Well, all I see is a bomb. Like, you know what? Thanks for making a historical piece of American history, but you're going to take a major bath.
It's over.
I don't know how much money you still have left, Kevin, but if you're going to try to make 3 more of these.
Last I looked, history books weren't making the New York Times bestseller list.
Yeah. Well, Horizon actor Michael Rooker. Okay, we're talking about Michael Rooker. You know who he is? Probably the role that he's most known for now is actually the guy in, and I can't remember his name, the guy in the MCU who can whistle and he moves that dart around in Guardians of the Galaxy.
He is not Yazoo or
You're close.
Yeah.
Yazoo.
Yeah, Yazoo.
Gonzo. Let's call him Gonzo. Right.
Yeah.
So Michael Rooker decries current state of movies, says audiences are conditioned by TikTok. He says, you got to get over that crap. Horizon, a movie backed by Kevin Costner with 3 planned sequels, bombed, and he's making excuses because he thinks people are getting too used to the TikTok format that they won't go and watch movies anymore. What do you think of that? Oppenheimer was a massive hit just not too long ago.
And it was also based on historical information, historical stories.
So this made me laugh. This is like, dude, you don't see what's good. Another guy in the bubble.
Yeah, but this is also a kind of thing where every time I saw this advertised during like baseball games and things like that, it was just like, hee-haw, Americana, you know, you're got to be a real patriot if you want to watch this. So this is kind of like one of those things where it was like, oh, this wasn't successful because of left-wing Hollywood.
Yeah, it says here the film opened to an underwhelming $11 million on a budget of $50.
Yeah.
And that doesn't usually count the marketing. So if you said you've been seeing this thing on baseball, I can't imagine that's cheap.
Yeah. Well, it's not like on baseball. It's like it's commercials shown during baseball games.
Oh, I thought it was on the actual baseball.
No. They're not popping up in the lower corner. Like he's not in the stadium. Like it's not that. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy Costner's stuff. I mean, Field of Dreams, speaking of Costner and baseball, Field of Dreams is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, I don't like him. I've never been a fan of him. I don't like the way he looks.
You're one ugly motherfucker.
He does have a weird look. He kind of looks like the bad guy from Ghostbusters 2, the painting.
Yeah, right, he does.
The first time I knew of Kevin Costner, and this is just where I grew up. My mom was a big fan of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. So he played Robin Hood, and Christian Slater played his brother.
I've always heard he's just difficult to work with. Like Waterworld, he was difficult to work with.
That was a bomb. That was when I went to the movies to see.
You saw that in the movies?
I did.
You were one of the people that paid?
I tried to help him salvage some of it.
Oh, look, he took that and put it right into this.
Well, he put a lot of his own money into that movie. I think he also put a lot of his own money into Field of Dreams. And you know what? That's not true. The first time I ever saw him was in Bull Durham.
Oh, I forgot about that. He was really into baseball.
He was. Big time.
No, he's really into Westerns.
Yeah?
Well, it just made me laugh that people are,
One was more lucrative than the other.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's like this new TikTok world. You guys got to get... No, you know what? They don't got to get over this crap. This is the way it's going. Sorry to tell you guys, like, movies are changing.
Yeah.
Audiences are changing.
But are they? Because to your point, Oppenheimer was a 3-hour-long historical drama.
So is that a exception to the new norm, or is it just these movies aren't good enough to attract anybody?
Why would he think his movie was going to attract a Gen Z TikTok-obsessed person?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
because
it said here,
that's not who was going to see Oppenheimer.
And it said here the majority of people that did go to see were 55 and over.
Exactly.
People that usually don't like to leave the house.
But that's probably who went to go see Oppenheimer, too.
And you know what? Now I'm saying, he's not concerned about the box office. Maybe he thinks what I just said, because his audience is older. They're going to watch it on streaming, and he's going to make his money back selling it to streaming or something. Maybe he's a genius.
Maybe, but I feel like he's a Paramount Plus guy. Maybe he's going to get paid by Skydance.
Yeah, maybe. Now we know Skydance is big investments. They're going to go right to
deep pockets.
Kevin Costner's back, baby. All right, well, that's everything. How about we wrap this up?
Yeah, all right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Again, we will not be having a new show next week. We'll be coming at you live the week after that. Tell a friend, tune on in, and we'll see you then.
It's over!
Dickhead.